voted on the perm. I think that, well, I actually voted on this like judge choice theory argument, which is probably the dumbest of all of their theory arguments. But I didn't think that you answered that I could just vote for the plan and then sort of selectively go through the representations that they made and sort of come up with a justification for the plan of my own accord after the debate. So I think that the best permutation argument you had was this like unity is bad thing. And I'd initially thought that the 1AR had dropped that argument, but upon closer reflection on my flows, they made an argument. It's like the second subpoint about how, well, the argument was basically just that, fucking idiot. I can't find it, there's just so many off keys. Okay, yeah, the argument is that they don't require a single, that they don't try to assemble a single object, and if we can be relativist, it proves that we can pick and choose. So the move of the permutation to pick and choose is not one of assembling unity, it's just sort of assembly, and it recognizes internal differences, which is the impact you gave to unity bad at the end of the 2NR. The other permutation argument is about how one's orientation is key. I think that sort of begs the question of the object of the orientation. So, like, is it the 1AC that I'm talking about? Is it the 2AR? And I sort of thought that I could sort of pick an object of orientation that was like the plan with the justifications that I chose and orient myself towards that. And so I thought that you were doing a little bit better on the sort of like we just like love contradiction and stuff, and therefore like just vote for the permutation because it's just more self-effacement and more contradiction. I thought the 2NR is like a powerful rhetorical move to say that just proves that we're right and at least we're less resentful. And I'm not sure how I would have decided on that point, but it just sort of moved because I included the other one.
I don't understand why that doesn't also link to that permutation. Like the judge choice argument, why is that the difference?
Like rational choice debate?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
The HATAP stuff, or are you talking about something else?
No, just like rational choice would seem to presuppose you as an individual unit, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't get how rational choice works.
So I thought that they won that there was like no uniqueness to the rational choice bad stuff, just because people tend to make rational decisions. It's human nature to calculate costs and benefits and try to come up with the best conclusions to things. So although I thought you won the, like Nietzsche doer, no doer behind the deed stuff, I didn't think that there was any uniqueness to that. And voting for you would be, well, voting either way. So.
What is the permutation that you voted for? Like what part of it?
So I ended up, after I did the judge choice thing, there just had to be a like logical way or some normative reason that I could vote for the affirmative, just like a coherent way to endorse the plan that was not full of logical problems and stuff. And so I thought that I basically voted on the affirmative, like has a good research methodology and trains us how to better engage in policy debates. I thought that and there was sort of like the impact to violence and improving policy, prevented violence and stuff, and I thought that outweighed the Thai self-effacement thing, which is probably the argument that they have both, that they're doing the worst on.
I don't get how, like if there was a part of the app that you weren't going to pick, right, picking that part would seem to just provoke the rest of the debate.
I don't understand how you affirm their methodology absent the substance that relates to that methodology. How does that even make sense? Like, how does the app instantiate that methodology without evidence to go behind that?
So how do they prove the? You're asking
just
how do they prove
the
the
object of that method?
Well, what is the object of the method in this case?
Like all the things that we want links to.
So you want links to the suffering thing, I think.
Yeah, isn't that like the violence impact that you just talked about?
Well, they're sort of so they're similar, but there can be advantages to improving policy research methods that's separate from preventing violence.
How do they win the internal solving? I mean, those things like the Centennial Irwin voter evidence that are specific to how that method does
themselves to be policymakers, that they just, that they thought it was good to simulate and learn how policy discussion should work, but there's no like role confusion, there's no putting on different masks and stuff. So I didn't think that you want to link to that card. The card in the book I thought was more just like uniqueness for policy basis now. Good research method to improve things.
I still don't understand what the app is.
So the affirmative has, trains us to engage in policy discussions, and they have a how do they do
They
it?
kick the app.
They kick the app. How do they do that? Like, how do they train for anything?
I didn't vote on them kicking the whole. So like they kick the parts of the app that relied upon appeals to suffering in order to, to vote for things. And I think that's probably the only part of the app that they kicked, in my opinion. So there's still all of the, or at least as I voted. So there's still all of the stuff that they do about research method.
I'm sorry for following up, but with regards to the rhetorically powerful move that you're going on, I just don't get how then going to this permutation doesn't prove that the 2AR is a face to the 1AC. So we were right all along. Like just like the smell test.
Yeah,
They negate their 1AC as their 2AR.
I understand those two permutation solvency arguments to be separate from one another. I could have voted for the permutation and faced the 1AC and had them just been you but more resentful. Or I could have voted for the permutation that was the plan for some good reason that I choose of my own accord because I'm the judge and can choose why to vote for things.
But why isn't that also a resentful position on their part? Like, to be like, we'll abandon all of our values, you choose any part that you think isn't good. I don't understand why that isn't.
I don't think you answered the judge choice argument in the 2NR.
Well, I think that I don't
I mean,
understand.
I don't think I answered it explicitly in the presentation.
Yeah, so
I
you're
just think they can't win that argument without winning the
the
like that the self isn't stable, so choice doesn't make sense in that context. And like you seem to just be like, it doesn't. You're right. That's not what the app is doing or whatever. But I'm stable. Or like I'm still. I don't get how they can concede.
we're all inevitably liberal subjects who make rational choices. I thought that they won that argument.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm not trying to stop you from asking more questions. I'm happy.
So I don't know what questions I have. Like I know shit is messy and that you have timing issues and how long you can think of that thing. It's just like I don't know. It seems like just intuitively, if they're kicking their ass into 2AR, it probably means they just fucking lost, and there's only a risk that we were right the whole time. That's resentful. Like that's our whole job. And like I don't know, you chose not to care.
I didn't think they kicked their whole app.
But, I mean, I don't know.
Oh, they did make the argument that they could kick their app. I didn't choose to vote on that argument.
But the parts of the methodology you ended up voting on is just provoke certain claims, it seems to me.
And it provokes the link claims because I assumed that I was a stable subject who could choose.
Sure.
What parts
or
of the
that there
app
was
to
an
vote
object
for?
to the method. Well,
I mean-
the method had a meaning as opposed to the method being madness.
Yeah. So to be honest to you, I didn't think too much about the judge space as one that was also so internally differentiated and complicated.
I mean, I don't think that was something that I cashed out into it on. I mean, it's just it's probably something I took for granted. So I was like, if you don't have a rational subject over here, this judge sure shit, obviously. And I didn't make that application at all. I hate you. It's cool.
I have a question. So it seems like taking the permutation out of the debate, we clearly don't have cards that answer specifically the vast majority of these DAs that they're reading. Do you think that it would have been possible to still have one that clearly 2 hours is a big part of the permutation, so that might crowd out the rest of the debate, but just that if our research method is productive, then the fact that the AF resolves conflict is something that voting affirmative is good for, and then it just becomes a question of whether or not solving violence is good or bad, and then like the 1 hour arguments about how if you die, there's no meaning, it's the end of human aspiration, so it's like death becomes the decision rule. Do you think there's a way to nuance that argument persuasive to deal with, the just like vast majority, the proliferation of DAs that,
I'm not really sure. I think that even if you win that argument, you still have to win. Like, for example, you could still lose to the tie link argument about, that presumes that we should be thinking outside of the self. And so there are a lot of little levels at which that sort of chain of logic can be undercut by link arguments that they make.
Yeah, and it seems to be what you vote on anyway. Like you're still voting on a methodology that's that's productive.
Okay. Well, I mean, sorry, say that again. Productive. I voted.
In some sense, like that this method's good, but I don't know. Like I just don't get how they can win that their method's good without a telos. Like so, I'm probably confusing myself.
But how can they win their methods good without
like a telos without an object that they're striving for?
Well, I mean, better improving policy debates and making them less ideological. I didn't really think you had a link argument to that.
But I don't know.
I mean, that's what I voted on. I mean, I think that sort of like strategically speaking, the difficulty for you is just that once I started thinking about things in terms of judge choice, it's just like easy to miss big picture interactions between things and just sort of try to navigate a narrow path instead of.
I mean, it just seems like you chose to opt out of all of our offense. And then you're like, that's about that. That's not really a question from this show.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the judge choice thing, like that's the argument of the permit. They should be able to opt out of all of your offense. And I think that he made the occupancy argument in the 2NR about how justification is really tied into advocacy and they just have to advocate the 1AC. Yeah, that would have changed the.
Yeah, I was trying to explain how, like, every time they bring up this representational thing, I'm like, it's method, not a representational question. It's not something we can sever. And even still, even the notion of a permutation obviously shows that they believe in a methodology that reaffirms unity. Like, there's still, I don't really get what's being permuted. I don't get what's being severed out of stuff. I don't get how it was a method in the first place. Like.
Okay, so the perm is, it's not really permuting anything, it's just severing things, I thought.
I mean, okay.
There is, actually, the 2AR makes the argument that you endorse, like, a joyful, active way of relating to things, and so that's a positive thing to permute. So if they're permuting anything, it's to, instead of relating to suffering like this, relate to it like joyful positively, which means that the component of their app that depends upon suffering being bad is not a valid reason to vote for them, but all the other, if there is another component that it could be, then it's not invited by the land.